All right, hello. Welcome back to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. Hope you're all having a good Tuesday here. Week is off and running. It is a bit ugly out there. Little rain, little sleet, a little bit of snow. First snowflakes I've seen on the season. So, well, here we go. I think we're in for a little bit of this as we approach Thanksgiving. Can you believe that's coming right up too? My name is Drew Moholland. This is Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio. We got Lily Dessette producing. Tyler Neufield's in the house. The whole gang is here. And my guest is all set and ready to go. Something about the coaches. The coaches all arrive here early. Coach Ed Gaudiano joining us, old-time Newburyport football coach, teacher. All the kids here know him as Teacher Gaudiano. But how are you, sir? Good to see you again.
I'm good, Drew. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
Yeah, been a little while here. We had you on the old show back in the day, but
right.
What have you been up to?
Just enjoying retirement. It's very agreeable and taking it easy.
Not everybody does. It's is it fully everything you hoped it would be?
Definitely, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I was due, and I think everybody has their shelf life. So
yeah.
I knew the time was up, and I don't get bored. I mean, I always find something to do. And
what is it? Is it golf during the summer?
I don't golf. I can't.
All right.
I can't get off the tee. It's actually fishing. I've taken up just surf casting, and that's good for the soul. And
yeah. I
still help out coach a little bit over at the Brooks School in North Andover. So
yeah.
That gets me up off the couch in the afternoon. So
I remember we were just talking off the air. I remember being on the field for your very last game.
Yeah.
And talking to you pregame, and I had no idea that was going to be your very last game. You decided to not tell anybody that.
No. We I kept a lid on it.
Yeah.
A few people knew. I couldn't tell a bunch of people because it would have blabbed out all over the town. And Newburyport's a small place, and it was Jimmy Stalin's night and Jimmy Stalin's day. So I had no problem just springing it on people after we. And that was a great game, after we had come back and won the thing in overtime.
It was exciting.
Perfect way to go out, I guess.
It really was a good way to go out. What did you? When did you actually tell the kids? Did you tell them after you won after the fourth quarter? Or?
We do a huddle at the end of the game.
Yeah.
After everything was said and done and we won it, we sang. I don't know if they still do it, but we had a fight song we'd sing after we win, and I just dropped it on them, and they just looked at me, and I looked at them and said, "Yeah, it's done."
Wow.
Yeah.
A little bit of shock in that huddle.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, that's funny. I know
right.
That's a tough. I've had that happen to me with other coaches that I in other, not football, but for other sports. And as if you're a junior or something, you're like, no. Who's the next guy? But Newburyport's been lucky with the next guys too.
Yeah.
So it's you still get over and see some Newburyport games here? Or?
Yeah, I was. What game? I saw the Pentucket game.
Yep.
I'll definitely go to Thanksgiving since it's home.
Yep.
I didn't go last year because it was freezing. I don't know if you remember last Thanksgiving,
remember.
but I'm not that stupid. I don't do cold in my old age anymore. So and Ben Smolsky sends me the films every week. So
that's nice.
Yeah, I can watch him, and he once in a while they ask my advice, but he does his own thing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, do you is there a part of you that they say a coach is always a coach in some way? Do the part of you that misses it a little bit, or I know there's parts of it you don't miss, but
well, definitely parts of it I don't miss, but I miss Newburyport. I've been up here for half my life, I guess, and. But going down to Brooks every afternoon and helping out down there with the football team kind of
filling that void a little.
Yeah, fills the void. It gets me off the couch, like I said. And
very nice. Is this an exciting time of year to be a football coach when you're approaching Thanksgiving?
Yep.
The weather kind of. Well, I said to you when we walked in here, it's kind of football weather out there today. We got some sleet, and it is kind of fun for the kids coming to it down the stretch, isn't it?
It is. I mean, if you look at. All the work they've put in, all the ups and downs they go through over the season, and really the only thing left in their sights is the evil empire over in Amesbury. It builds up, but they do their color day thing, and it's a good way just to I guess end the season and go into the winter. So
there you go. What was the toughest part of that decision of stepping away? Was it just kind of a new chapter, or was it? I'm sure you had to talk it out with family and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they didn't know either because my family famously blabs things all over the place.
You couldn't trust the family.
No. I mean, it was pretty well kept secret. I told one assistant coach, and I just realized that I think everyone has a shelf life no matter what they do. And I was nearing retirement. I could have coached that last year
Yeah.
and taught. But what I ended up doing was just knowing I was done coaching, taught one more year, and then I was able to retire.
There you go.
Yeah. So
So the teaching ended the year after. What was the? I'm sure the whole faculty. Who was the AD at the time? Was that Kyle? Yeah.
Kyle Hodgson was
So
there.
he was there. Okay. So he's. I always think of him as the new guy in town sometimes, but he's starting to be there for a little while. Huh?
Right. I mean, he's got at least 3 years in now. So
Yeah, I think more.
Maybe
more
more.
like 5 or 6 now.
Probably.
Yeah, I think he's getting up there. I think.
Right.
But, and I'm sure you enjoyed coaching. You had a few ADs though under your time. So.
Well, I think
Bob Clark and.
Yeah, Bob Clark, who I'm still friends with, but.
Yeah. How's Bob doing? I haven't seen.
He's good. He's good. I saw him last week. He's still the assistant baseball coach at Tufts.
Yep.
He golfs a lot, but he can't get me out in the course. I don't want to embarrass myself. But I was thinking about it. I think I have been through 8 superintendents,
Wow.
7 principals, 5 athletic directors, and a whole slew of Amesbury
Oh
coaches.
my goodness.
So at least I was surviving.
Is that a little dig at Amesbury right there? Still.
Yeah, definitely.
That is funny. I remember I have a funny Bob Clark story, which I know he can vouch for. I worked with another Bob Clark who used to work the morning drive radio shift with me at WBZ in Boston back in the day. He's since retired too, but so we used to get up early, and if we were ever having an issue, somebody was running behind, or I need you to pick something up on the way, I would call Bob Clark, and I would say probably a handful of times a year, the wrong Bob Clark would get the call at 2 a.m. and then call me back later. I take it that was an accident. So
that wouldn't sit well with him. But anyways,
he likes to sleep, does he?
He does.
Sorry, Bob. I still apologize for that. But I'm joined here by Coach Gaudiano. I got to tell you, Coach, I remember interviews from the past, and a lot of the kids would come on here too. And you were always known as one of the favorite teachers over there. You know, I used to get your name dropped a lot.
Well, I guess Lily and I we were just talking about that.
Lily had a big smile on her face. Yeah,
she sat in my last freshman class. I think that was.
What did you teach again? Remind me.
It was world history.
World history. All right.
Yeah, and we were just talking about things and saying it's amazing the stuff you remember as opposed to whatever history we were doing. But and I taught all freshmen, so. They were easy to impress one way or the other. You know, they had that type of mentality. And
you don't hear freshmen in high school are easy to deal with too often, do you? Is that an easy age? I feel like that's the tough one, isn't it?
We were talking about that, too, 2 minutes ago. I mean, I would do them 24/7.
Really?
Yeah. Sophomores are...
Gets progressively worse.
I think so. I mean, sophomores are obnoxious. They think they know everything. Lily brought up the fact that juniors are stressed and, you know... Seniors seem to be very needy because they're on their way out, but freshmen come in with that blank slate and
yeah. How does it work these days? Do you still get the? I remember always trying to pick like the teachers that I was closest with to do like the college recommendations. Is that still the deal? Would you get a lot of those towards the? I guess would you be juniors or seniors asking for that? Juniors, right?
You would be juniors.
Yeah.
And I think what the kids have learned is the most effective recommendations probably come from junior or senior teachers to be who can, talk about, let's say an English teacher or maybe a science teacher, whatever you're aiming for in college. I didn't get many things for recommendation because I don't think anybody wanted to hear from a freshman history teacher.
Gotcha. So you want that teacher who's kind of your last look or whatever.
Right.
I've grown up so much since
I know.
since you had me 2 years ago.
Right.
That's funny. What's the biggest? I mean, like you said, you went through all sorts of different regimes, superintendents. I mean, what was the biggest change from the time you started till the time it ended? And I'm assuming that might be a negative because I know teaching life hasn't gotten easier. We don't really take care of our teachers, do we? Loaded question. Sorry.
It is a loaded question. I mean, I think you got to take care of teachers at the right time.
Yeah.
When they need you from an administrative standpoint. And I think administrators now have come around to see that, from a teacher's standpoint, I mean, they need a lot of backup. And, I take that question. I can't remember the past as far as, where I thought teaching was back then. I mean, to me, it was always the classroom and we were there. And obviously we had to advance with technology and parents have changed and access have changed. And just social media. I mean, just things like that have come into teaching. My whole point would be I'm very interested to see where teaching will be 10 or 20 years down the road. I don't think you would recognize,
Yeah.
the teachers from today to what they need to do in 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of changes since I've been. I mean, I'm 32, so I was, when do you graduate high school? How old are you?
17, 18.
Yeah, so I mean, 14, 15 years out. I feel like I wouldn't notice a lot of those things. A lot of the kids have the iPads, I think, now.
Yeah,
I mean, I certainly never had that.
No, no. And it's, like I said, it's probably the change is accelerating. So if you look at all the things that are available for kids today, just not educationally, but other things that will compete for their attention and their time. It's going to be an interesting field.
The one of the most probably the most hot button issue that we get into on this show that gets the kids really riled up, the teachers are really riled up. I've noticed there's not like one. It's not teachers are all on one side and students are all on the other either. It's a mix. Is that school start time discussion?
Yeah.
What do you think? Do we have it just right now, or should they start it later, or what?
Well, I think change is hard. I know that. And there are some tough nuts that need to be cracked, and but I think there's research that goes back to the 1990s that proves the latest start time for high school age kids are better, and that
there is a lot.
There was studies out west where like SAT scores, GPAs, everything improved. And once they got the kids tuned into a later clock, but I mean that changes the whole school district.
You get both sides of that because you were a football coach, and I know that affects athletics quite a bit on the other side, right?
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, you still got to get out to practice, and on JV or freshman days, you got to push those kids out and get them on buses where another school might have a different, daily schedule. So, it'll be interesting.
Was there? I mean, I always say it's easier, or it always seems easier to me to be a coach at a school that you're teaching at. It just
Definitely.
For a lot of reasons, I think that seems to make sense. But was there also part of that was a little bit difficult too? I mean, that Johnny over there is struggling in whatever class, and maybe you got to lay down the law a little bit and say, hey, this doesn't get up. You're not playing Friday or something like that.
Oh yeah, many times where. I mean, what's good about going to Brooks now and coaching is I show up, I get a practice schedule, I know what I'm doing on the practice field, and there's no kids, there's no teachers, there's no grades, there's no discipline, there's no parents I had to deal with. So, that being said, it's still probably a lot more effective if you can teach and coach in the same building. Yeah.
How much easier is? I mean, did you hold jobs before that where that wasn't the case, coaching somewhere else maybe, or?
Not in high school, no.
No, okay.
Yeah.
So you were lucky in that regard.
Yeah.
It's I guess it's probably easier for a million reasons, right? Transportation and just you get to know the kids better and
right.
What about the? Did you see that scene out in where was it, Martha's Vineyard last week with the soccer kids and the officials?
Yeah.
Ugly, huh?
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like I said, I'm glad I retired, but. I know. You just got to stop. You can't even say it crossed the line, but I just, to be honest with you, I hope those kids weren't just slapped in the wrist.
Yeah, I think I think it's a year. I think is what they're going to end up getting. Which actually,
I think they should just send them on their way.
I thought that seemed like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
They were facing a year of no sports.
Yeah.
I said a year, really.
I'm sure they'll get over it, but ironically, the Globe had a article that week in the paper about how they can't get officials, how the whole in every sport, all the referees are getting older. New people are getting in, and the number one reason for that was, for incidents like happened in Martha's Vineyard.
And you mentioned parents too. I know parents aren't always the easiest at the high school level, right?
No. But, it only takes one or two.
Yeah.
And I would say the Newburyport parents were good.
Yeah.
Not that a few haven't stood out and, we still laugh about. But it seemed the parents were tougher when we had better teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know why. And in some years that we struggled, the parents were very understanding. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
What about the, and just go back to the officiating for a second. Did you ever have anything like that where you had to pull a kid aside and say, hey, I saw it's a bad call.
Yeah.
But we don't do that. Or,
Oh, yeah. Many times. And,
So you're admitting you've seen officials make bad calls. No.
Last Saturday. I mean, they always do. And you can always say they're human. And you know how kids are. Some kids are going to react strongly. And, part of being a coach is being able to handle those type of reactions so they don't blow up. And, it's handled on the spot so people aren't getting shoved and punched after the game. And,
it's a tough job. It certainly is. I don't envy. I have a cousin of mine who's playing volleyball right now, and I listen to. I mean, volleyball is not exactly a sport that depends on officiating. It's not football or basketball where you can be calling back 80-yard runs. I mean, there's certain things here or there, but it's pretty clear cut. You wouldn't believe some of the heckling these guys are getting down there.
I know.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
People get these line calls from a mile away. Oh, you saw that, did you?
Yeah. Well, at games, I mean, what I like to say to the parents, I would say for 90% of the things you're screaming about, nobody hears you. The refs don't hear you. The kids don't hear you. The coaches don't hear you. You should just enjoy the game.
Yeah. Well, that's a good little piece of advice for all the parents out there.
Yeah.
Former Newburyport teacher and head football coach Gaudiano joining us here on Chapa Afternoon Drive. What was the best? I guess best game. What's the best on-field experience there at the Newburyport High School?
Only because my memory's fading. That last game was real good.
It was tough to beat, right?
Yeah, I mean, we were. I guess we got up early. Then we were down and out. Amesbury had all the momentum, and it looked bleak until the fourth quarter, where we were able to score twice, I think, and then win it in overtime. So that's just a great Thanksgiving Day story.
Yep.
But there were Super Bowls.
Yep.
There were rivalry games, and one thing this new playoff system has done is it's kind of taken away the importance of league championships.
Yeah, everybody says that.
Yeah, and I think that's unfortunate. But I mean, there are games from Pentucket and Ipswich, obviously Triton. I mean, Triton could be our Thanksgiving Day game that were just great, like neighborhood rivalries we called them. And
it's kind of this league is made up of that, right? Cape Ann League's kind of nice in that regard.
No, it is. It is, and I just hope the kids don't lose the importance of that because we really used it, to build up the program just to take care and win those games. Yeah. And when I got here, I think everyone was gunning for Newburyport. We were in everybody's crosshairs because Jimmy Stalin had been so successful, and
pretty tough act to follow, by the way.
Well, I mean, it was payback time was what it was. I mean, they had steamrolled a lot of teams, and there'll always be the debate, like what teams were better, the 1970 teams of Jimmy or, the guys I had in the 1990s, both equally dominant,
What was that passing of the baton like? Was he? I've had him on the show a few times, and one thing I noticed about him, he's still sharp as can be. My goodness, he remembers some of these kids that 25 years ago he ran through the left side there, right off the tackle, and took it to the house. I'm like, what? Okay.
No, he's good. I saw him last week, and he's getting older. He's aging a bit, but he's still sharp, and he was the AD. He's the guy who hired me, so I'm happy.
Oh, you know what? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So he gave me the opportunity, and I know more than once I gave him a run for his money for some of the things I did. But he stuck with me, and it took a couple of years, but eventually we turned it around and were able to put some real good teams on the field.
It's pretty impressive actually to look. I mean, I look at high school sports in general these days, and really, I mean, once you start getting 5 years plus, you're almost kind of one of the veteran coaches. There's so much movement. And you look at Coach Stalin and yourself in that kind of, how many years was he there for? That decades and decades of consistency at the helm. It's kind of something special, isn't it?
I think so. And I think kids need to see that too. And you see it, less and less as time goes on where, it's just not coaches, but you see administrators jump around and, Francis Bresnahan, I don't know if you remember that name, but the Newburyport Bresnahans, he was the longtime superintendent. He was the guy who hired me, and he had been there forever, and Jimmy had been there forever. And, to be honest with you, if you would ask me back then if I would have been at Newburyport for 29 years, I would have said you were crazy.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That is. What's the? Is there a kid that I know you treat every kid, you at least give them that everyone's special at the beginning, but is there one kid that kind of jumps out at you that maybe you were really extraordinarily proud of, maybe from whether it had to do with progression or what happened later in life, or a good story in that regard that kind of hits you?
Well, there are a few. I mean, I think Jeff Stone, who just got put on the Wall of Fame.
How about that? Yeah.
I mean, he...
Don't worry, we're going to talk about that too, by the way.
Oh, God. People will ask me who's the best player ever coached, and I can't say one kid. And I could probably boil it down to like the top 10 or the top 5, but his name keeps on popping up, and just to see him grow up, because I had actually I had lost my job at the high school as a history teacher for about 3 or 4 years, and went down to middle school to teach phys ed.
Oh, okay.
So Stoney and his crew, who turned out to be Super Bowl teams, they were coming through the middle school when I was down there in gym, and you know how middle school kids are like. Well, multiply that by 10 times. And, I mean, you get some real hellions there. And anyways, just to see him achieve what he did and grow up and just be a great, really two-sport athlete in football and hockey. And there are kids like that through the whole 29 years who
followed into coaching a little bit with coached some hockey.
Yeah,
a little bit there
yeah.
too.
And he coached with us for a couple of seasons, maybe just one season. He came out and helped out, but that's gratifying too. I think there are a lot of guys who went through the program who now are in high school coaching too, so that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's you probably love it when they come back and help Newburyport too, because it's nice to keep it in the family and all that.
Yeah.
So let's go there a little bit. Wall of Fame, pretty exciting.
Yeah, that was a funny night.
You got the honor this year along with with Stoney, which was great. I know Jeff from calling the hockey games, and it was nice to see you. You two were the ones that I actually kind of knew of that group. So congratulations! What an honor, huh?
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, only because it's, you know, the honors from the people you've been with for the 29 years, and I appreciate it. And it was good to see a lot of old faces, and it was a good turnout, and good night.
Did y'all have to give a speech?
Yeah, we did. Unfortunately, I had to go last. So by the time, I mean, there were 5 inductees. By the time I got up there, everybody had said everything. So I was kind of left holding the bag.
I'm sure you did just fine.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm sure that is kind of fun seeing all the community back together like that.
It was.
And all those,
it was.
What's the when you think back on those days, and I'm sure I know a lot of those things you try not to get too emotional about it, but is there like a moment of reflection at some point where you look back and say, "Well, we really did do quite a bit here"?
Yeah, I think you know
it's natural, right?
Right. I mean, I don't dwell on it, but there are a lot of things that I can look back and. It's not that I'm patting myself on the back or, you know, I don't want any of the credit, but, I think about all the characters and personalities and that come through. And, one of the things I think that I was able to do besides surround myself with good people is just keep all those different characters on the same page. And I thought when I was able to do that, we were pretty successful. And when I couldn't do that, we probably weren't as good. So. I mean, it's almost like I just went along for the ride.
That was a very Belichickian answer there.
Yeah.
I heard his post game the other night after that. What was that? The 300th win?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's talking about how I didn't play in any of those games. So
yeah, I heard that.
All right, Coach. But that's about as nice that's about as sentimental as you get from him. It's all about the players.
True.
But again, we're joined here by Ed Gaudiano on Joppa Afternoon Drive. Lily Doucette, Tyler Neufeld producing here today on a rainy, snowy, sleety kind of Tuesday here as we're about to kind of ramp up into winter. It's going to get cold here tonight. You ready for this weather? You all geared up for it yet, or what?
No, I don't do.
No retirement in Florida yet?
No, actually, we're Bob Clark, who we talked about a little bit. We're going down to the Army-Navy game. We've done that.
Oh, nice.
That's going to be on everybody's bucket list.
You have done it, you said?
Yeah, so we go down. This is probably a 4th year, maybe a 3rd year. So right now I'm just trying to find all my warm stuff. And, I don't, like I said, cold is not agreeable to me. But.
I love that. I have always loved that football game. I'm probably a bigger college guy than I am a pro guy.
Me too.
But that game. I don't know. You know what I think it was. Honestly, is my grandfather was a military man, and he was actually he always rooted for Navy.
Yeah.
And I remember he always never I was always like these teams used to be bad. Now they're kind of good actually. I think both are having decent years, right?
Yeah. Navy a little bit more than
yeah, at least Navy. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they used to be. Some of those games were like one win versus maybe winless, and it would be. You would see just all-out effort this was a Super Bowl, and that always fascinated me. And the crowds going wild in uniform. I always just thought it was the coolest scene.
It was.
So yes, bucket list it is. I am on that. That's my bucket list too.
I mean, I don't know if it moves next year, but it's been in Philadelphia, and what a great atmosphere to go down to that city. We spent a couple of nights, and just the whole pregame thing when the Corps of Cadets march in, and it's good. It's good. It's great. It's like football at its purest.
Yeah. It's not this Saturday. That's the Saturday after it.
It's late. No, the 14th maybe this year.
The 14th.
Of December.
December. That's okay. Yeah, because it's at the end of the year. That's right. Yeah.
Right.
That's and that's kind of just that game that weekend. And
That's the only game.
Yeah.
And it's going to be cold, I think.
I would think so. Yeah. What was it like playing in this kind of weather? Because you must have got some weather.
Yeah, we did have weather.
You guys had snow games.
Yeah. A lot of that comes through on Thanksgiving only because the weather's changing. But
those are fun days, though, isn't it?
They are. And I guess you kind of go numb once you get out there on any game in November, and it's cold or it's wet or whatever, and especially if you're playing. I think the kids, when the adrenaline kicks in, they don't recognize it. They just got to deal with the elements.
You just keep saying, "Hang on to the ball."
Yeah. No, I mean. One memory I have wasn't football, it was lacrosse. We went over to Pentucket, and the game time temperature was 70 degrees, and we're there in shorts and sneakers and T-shirts. And Todd Francis, the guy that I coach with, he's a Newburyport guy. He's in flip-flops and Bermuda shorts. And by the time the game was over, the temperature had dropped like 40 degrees. It was 30 degrees and snowing. And, we're just standing there taking the elements with...
Oh my
nothing
goodness.
on. Yeah, I remember that. That was brutal.
I remember we had Richie Eaton on, who I know you know.
Yeah.
Very well. He explained. What was it? 2 years that they moved the Thanksgiving Day game? Is that right? Because of weather.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And he always says, he goes, worst decision you could have made. It is not the same when you play the Thanksgiving game. Not on Thanksgiving. Throws it all off for me.
Yeah. I don't think we did well I know one game we just got trashed. I mean, it seemed that we were on ice skates and Amesbury was just running all over the place. And
what's it like when your team? Because I mean, you coach for 3 decades. I mean, you're gonna have duds. I mean, it's just it's the percentage that say it's gonna happen. What's it like on a big showcase game like that? Thanksgiving, town's watching, and it's just the boys don't show up. What's that feeling like? That's kind of the.
It's not good. I mean,
it's not good.
The meal is worse afterwards. So Thanksgiving is always. That's cold if we don't win. But I think a lot of that, if you get a feel for the senior class, I mean, the first Thanksgiving Day game I was at, we lost, didn't play poorly, but the Amesbury coach came over to me and said, "You know what the difference with the game was?" He said, "Our seniors wanted it more than your seniors."
Yeah.
And that kind of resonated through me for 29 years. So, you can kind of get a pulse of the senior class. I mean, if they're geared up and ready to go, I think, you get that good feeling going in. And then, you just got to let the football gods take over on the game because it's one of those games where anything could happen.
It's so true, isn't it? Captains are very important at the high school level, isn't it? I remember having good captains, and, you really do try to, as a younger guy, live up to that and kind of use them as role models. And kind of goes the same way with bad captains and bad older classmen. I mean, it can be, those teams can kind of go the other way.
Right.
Just, I don't know, something about that age where if you have good leadership other than the coaching, it's just, it's like having another coach or another group of coaches. It's a big extension.
It's tough when the captaincy is kind of a popularity contest. That's what I think you gotta.
How did you used to do it? Did you used to pick them, or did you let the kids?
A combination of both, actually.
Really?
So the kids voted, the coaches voted. So I think there was representation each way there. I mean, we never wanted more than 3. I mean, now you see like whole like slews of kids walking out to be captain, but. We wanted to keep it special, and if you believe that athletes are held to a higher standard within the school, the captains are held to an even higher standard. And for a lot of kids, they took that seriously, and other kids didn't. But
Yeah.
yeah,
The we've talked. You got out of it right as maybe it was starting to become like the peak of like the numbers starting to nationwide,
yeah.
starting to go down on the football front.
Yep.
And I think the concussion thing's a big deal with
Yep.
that. Plenty of other sports, of course, the
Right.
kids are playing. I mean, there's just more options, more things to do
Yeah.
in general in life.
Yeah.
What is your thought on the state of the game?
If you watched Alabama and LSU this weekend,
Yep.
I don't think any one of those 100,000 people at the game were worried about concussions.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is regional. I think the game is safer than it's ever been, and
Yeah.
just with the way we're coaching it now, kind of reinforces that.
Was that really picking up when you were in your final years there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
and it was kind of a factor of the numbers going down too, because if I think in that last game, we probably had 25 kids in uniform,
Wow.
10 kids in street clothes. So our numbers were down in that last game. And even before that, it got me thinking, how many reps do you have to give a kid during the week where, he's playing both ways.
Yeah.
We know he's going to play. He's going to hit. He knows how to play the game right. And, we don't have to beat him up during the week.
Yeah.
What we got to do is get him to Friday night so he's healthy and ready to go. So I think that, that attitude has kind of worked its way into coaching.
Less workload during the practice days? Or?
You're just mentally ready. I mean,
Yeah.
we did a lot more at the end on the whiteboard and with film work. So, I mean, that comes in and
Yeah.
really just made practice more efficient. So I would say by the time, and I took this from a lacrosse model, the last couple of years, we were, not counting stretching and maybe conditioning, we were done in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And, we simplified things to make it easier for the kids. And, I think they appreciated it because we talk about time and all that.
Efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's interesting. Yeah, I do remember. It just stuck out to me now that you mentioned that. But that was quite a sight. All those injuries you had that day. I remember
It was ridiculous.
being on the field talking to you, and I think you probably said exactly that, if I remember correctly. I think you had one of the Tulin kids that was really hurt that day.
He was out. Yeah.
And we've actually had both of those guys on the show, Brian and what was the other Tulin brother? I forget which one was hurt actually.
Now you kill me. I couldn't tell them apart, so I wouldn't know. I mean,
I think Brian was hurt, right?
Yeah.
And one of them was in a sling, I think.
Yeah.
And, but both of those guys were on. They had just done. Actually, last time I saw them, they were doing a cross country.
That's right.
Trip, and they were very, very close. It was kind of cool to see how close the brothers were. But I think they both had some college injuries too. It's tough to see those kids that just can't get out of the injury.
No.
Spiral.
Right, but but that's going to come up in any sport, really. And then if you look at the not the concentration, but the attention that concussions have had, and that factors into the coaching. And
Nick Tulin, who was hurt? Brian or Nick? Do you remember?
No, I don't know. They both look the same.
They look
to
the
me.
same.
Yeah,
both long-haired, good-looking guys, right?
Yeah, both good players too.
Yeah,
so we were lucky to have at least one of them on the field.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's. But I wonder if I know Tom Brady gets asked that question all the time. Like, do you let Tom gets asked, would you let your kid play? And I get the impression you think the way the game is being taught, it's in a good place right now.
Definitely, and I think there are a couple of options now for younger kids for the most part. So I mean, if parents want to pursue the youth league path, which is football from the second grade or whatever, I think you got to look into see who's running the program. But
yeah, do you have does it all depend on who is running the program? I mean,
I think a lot of it does. I think you got to look at who's at each level and what's being emphasized at each level, and
not as simple to say no hitting until you're a certain age or whatever.
Right. I mean, and my opinion has changed that over the years, and myself, I didn't play football till I was a freshman in high school.
Really?
I think I actually got cut twice before.
Really?
They told me I was too small. So
you must have been cutting kids on your. I mean,
we never cut anybody.
You never cut anybody.
No.
Really?
No.
Wow.
We just found equipment. This was like when we had it going, and there were a lot of kids. We just made sure we had enough equipment for everybody. And the whole thing about us was, you're playing.
Yeah.
So if you weren't playing Friday night, you were definitely playing on Monday, and the kids bought into that.
Yeah.
Or you were playing as a freshman. A lot of freshmen, for me, weren't varsity players. Now you see a lot of freshmen playing varsity.
That's interesting. Yeah. What's the was that? I mean, were you? I'm sure you had numbers because that Newburyport football was, as good as it gets, and really the heyday of high school football there for a while. I'm sure there were years where maybe other teams would have made cuts, or was it just something you weren't going to do?
No, I mean, I didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
Just coming from a college environment where, if a kid wanted to show up every day and practice and be part of the team and, work at it, you never know when you're going to get one of those kids who will go through the program and play as a senior. Now kids, they need more instant gratification.
Yeah.
And that's, and that's where I think maybe youth league, we don't want, or I think coaches now don't want kids coming out of the younger levels kind of being sick of football.
Right.
And one great option is this, the whole idea of flag football, which is starting up and getting popular. And I think that's a good thing too.
I still got buddies who kept their college flag football team together and are out there playing.
How fun is that? But I think if you keep it fun for the younger kids, now they, say you get some fat little roly-poly kid who, in the second grade, they peg as a lineman, and he's a lineman for, 7 years. And when it comes time to play high school, he's sick of lineman. But, if you put a flag on him and have him catch the ball or run the ball or throw the ball, he loves the game, goes up, and maybe when he's a freshman, you say, it's time to play center or time to play guard. I mean, this is where you fit.
Yeah. Or he grows into a tight end.
True. could grow either way.
Speaking of that, we were talking off the air. You got to coach against too one of the best tight ends in college football right now, Pat Fryermuth.
Right.
There. What a career he's turned himself into, huh?
And I coached him at Brooks's last year.
And that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He was the real deal, and you could just tell he was something special, especially his senior year at Brooks.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got on his back, and that ISL league, there's no playoffs, but there are bowl games, and he just got us to a bowl game. I think, if I remember correctly, at Pentucket, he might have been playing quarterback as like a freshman or a sophomore or something like that. But he showed up for Brooks' senior year. I showed up just to work part-time, and we had a good laugh. But you could tell he was something special right off the bat.
What stands out about a kid like that? Because I asked you off the air. I said, were you surprised he's this good? And you said, absolutely not.
No, just the way he attacked the game and loved to play every play. And, you combine that with his speed and his size. And
do guys like that have different work ethics, too, like in practice? Like it's a motor that's just different?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, he was one of those kids where, he's got to get the practice time in, obviously, with everybody else. And it was a credit to him that he took practice very seriously and went after each day. But, we needed him to play on Saturday. I mean, he was a kid who, took advantage of the week's worth of work. But we didn't have to get him many hits during the week because we knew he was going to go out there and do it. I mean,
I think they named him a sophomore captain at Penn State, which is
I heard that
incredibly odd at the college level.
Well, I think he worked his tail off in the off season in the weight room, and I look at him now, and just from his senior year in high school where he was huge, he looks even better now. Now he's a man.
So you're not surprised he had those captain qualities right from the start?
Yeah, definitely. And a great guy, too.
Really? That's good to hear. Yeah. I hear the whole family is...
They're good. Yeah. He actually Skyped. I don't know if people still Skype anymore, but...
I think they do.
He did something, but we had a team meeting. The Brooks season is over. We only play 8 games, so he was up on the screen on the Friday before we played, just... he came into our team meeting via Skype, I guess, and just gave the pep talk, and everybody, remembered him. And So he's good like that.
Get a good pep talk in him.
Yeah.
What's the best one of those you ever had? I know you got to bring in some big names back in the day. You guys do it usually? Did you always do it the night before, or a couple nights before, or how did that work?
We usually did what we did, and what Ben's done is. Like the last practice on Wednesday.
Okay.
We used to do a ceremony where we would clap the seniors in. So the team would go to the tunnel, the tunnel there. They'd line the tunnel. I'd take the seniors aside, say a couple of corny things about being a senior in the last game and whatever, and just thank them for the most part. And then they'd go into the tunnel as a class, and everybody would clap them in, which was
that's
pretty
cool.
good. Right.
That is
So
cool, yeah.
Ben's kind of expanded that, and he's got he's invited all the alums. So the alum actually now join that lining of the tunnel, and it's great because you got all
Nice.
these old. There was some like 70 or 80-year-old guys.
Really?
There. Yeah. So
That is cool.
It's really good, and it's a good tradition. So, anyways, most of those speeches were the Wednesday.
Okay.
So we do color day, and everybody's just jacked up over that. And they come
Yep.
out quick practice, and like an alum would talk.
What's the was there one guy? Was it? I can imagine like Coach Stalin giving a good one, but maybe he's a little more measured. Was there one guy that your guys were ready to run through the wall for when it was all said and done?
Yeah, well, this guy who coached with us and was one of Jimmy Stalin's 1970 players,
Okay.
Ronnie Simmons,
Okay.
great Newburyport guy. He's up in Maine now. His nickname is the Wolfman, so that can tell you something.
Give you a
like
little
that.
idea.
Yeah, I mean he's good in front of kids.
Yeah.
So he gave a couple for us, and it was
Can't repeat some of them. Is that what?
no, not on the air. But do you remember Steve Lapham?
Yes.
So-
Basketball, right?
All three sports.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, I think he's the one kid who played in 3 straight Super Bowls, or 3 Super Bowls in a row, for us in football. But he comes
Yeah.
back. And I think he did it last year. But he had he's good in front of the kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So it's funny how those stick out at you over time.
Yeah.
The I guess when you're talking about when you get towards this time of year, Thanksgiving, was it a grind of the football season? I mean,
Yeah.
I think back to your 10 injuries. I know that season was a grind.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the one that put you over the edge.
It could have.
I'm not coming back.
No, it could have. But the
Yeah.
other thing with that season was, and I knew early on,
Yeah.
if you lose that obsession,
Yeah.
like I was done. But
Right. You knew. You could
they
tell.
were scrambling to finish that stadium, and
Yeah.
we were on the road for every game, and it was brutal.
Yeah.
And that was a grind. And every week would hear an update or whatever, and I think it took a lot of arm twisting by Mayor Holliday to get that thing ready for that Thanksgiving. So I mean, I
Yeah.
played one football game on the stadium, and it was that dedication.
It was a
game
good one.
Yeah, it was. It was good, and just the whole, like I said, atmosphere with, and naming it after Jimmy and having the night before, and
Yeah.
then winning the way we did. So
I remember I was hanging out on the sidelines for that game, and I remember talking to Mike Lynch, who we just had on the show a couple weeks ago.
oh yeah.
And he
Good
was
guy.
Yeah, he was down there for that game, and we were still talking about that. He remembers it like it was yesterday. It was like one of the best high school football games I've been to. It was so much going on, new field, everything was
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Final game for Coach. But another thing that sticks out to me, and this is just one of the more subtle things that I had not experienced. I'm not necessarily from Newburyport. I've been around here my whole life, but I haven't lived in Newburyport, and the Thanksgiving Day games were kind of new to me. The Newburyport Amesbury game. I'm down in the end zone, and you get all these older people, like
Yeah.
the 30s at youngest, but I'm talking 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
Grown adults. And I mean, there are legit trash talk going on down
Oh,
there between
God.
Newburyport and Amesbury. Maybe even a few side bets here or there. I'm not sure.
I'm
But,
sure there were plenty of side bets.
but
Well, a lot of that, or the origin of that is, and I don't know if you know, but at one point in history, Amesbury beats Newburyport 99-0 on Thanksgiving.
I've heard about this, yes.
So when we were good, I forget what year it was, but we're playing at home. It's good in the 90s. We kill them on Thanksgiving. We're playing the JVs by halftime, and I'm running off the tunnel at the end of the game, thinking everything's fine, and this looked like the sweetest, littlest old lady is like hanging over the tunnel, screaming at me for not running the score up.
Wow.
And how can I forget 99-0? So
Really?
yeah, so.
Coach Stalin had a moment like that too. I remember him saying, I'm sure he's told you that story where you guys both had chances on Thanksgiving to kind of get payback there, and
Yeah.
both kind of decided not the right move.
Right.
Which you probably sleep better at night, I would
No,
say.
I do. I mean, we rivalry games are different.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any running up the score in a rivalry game. I mean, because you can use it for fodder the next year if you're on the wrong end of that score.
Yeah.
We they beat us 38-0 one year.
Yeah.
And when the kids showed up in the weight room that Monday to start the winter workouts, that was painted on the wall, 38-0.
Yeah.
And those guys, use that as motivation for the whole year. So
yeah,
yeah.
it's funny how that can work and
Right.
backfire against you.
Yeah.
You do see stories like that. I've seen a few of them even this year at the high school level of just kind of ridiculous scores. How it is kind of it's a unique thing at the high school level, because there is part of that you feel like, and even Bill Belichick at the pro level feels like sometimes that games are never over until they're over.
True.
And high school games can shift a lot, but how careful were you of that at times to make sure you don't devastate a program? And
Right. I mean, not that it never happened
Yeah.
in our favor, but I was always cognizant of it. I mean,
yeah, it's amazing how many coaches are not, isn't it?
well, I mean, in today's coaching world, there's an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, and I mean, I would tell those guys, I said, look, I'll take over the game with 2 minutes left. Not that they weren't going to do their job and make the calls, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure, at least with 2 minutes left to go, we weren't making anybody look bad.
Yeah.
So that's a way to avoid it. But Triton never took the foot off the pedal when they were killing us, and
Yeah.
we would do the same thing to them
Yeah.
the year after. So that's rivalry, and I think kids understand that. I mean, it's
Yeah. They're all learning experiences,
they are
right?
they are.
Want to do a little rapid fire, Coach? We do this with a lot of our guests here. Very random. The rule
Okay.
is you're really not supposed to think about it. It's first instinct.
Oh, geez,
So
that's killed me
I have-
over the years.
What game are we talking about?
Too many to mention, I guess.
We went for it on fourth down there, did we,
Yeah,
Coach? Did
yeah, Well, those keep on popping up.
All right. Favorite food?
Calamari.
Wow, that is a first on the show.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to stop rapid fire right there. Calamari, where does that come from?
I don't know. I just I like fried calamari. I mean, it's good. I mean, I'll always walk into a restaurant before anybody can ask me. I'll order
It's funny. I think I do think of fried calamari a little bit differently. Okay, so I
Yeah.
like that too. I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking. Okay, that's a more acceptable answer. You got the dipping sauce. I'm with you on
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. Favorite movie?
Oh God, too many. I'd say Cool Hand Luke.
Ooh, I like that movie.
Great movie.
Sometimes Nothing's a pretty cool hand.
Yeah.
Remember the Titans are pretty popular.
Well,
one
there's
for
a story with that.
Ooh.
I don't know if you got a minute, but
Oh, sure.
that movie's out. We're going down to Wilmington to play it. Like the game is going to determine the championship of the league.
The Wildcats.
So my great idea was to go up to the Salisbury Cinemas, take the whole team on Thursday night, got the buses, went there, watched the movie, went out Friday and got killed. So that leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
That movie is on all the time.
is.
That must bother you a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, I don't like seeing it on the guide on cable.
Come on, Denzel, just get out of there.
Yeah,
Great movie though.
it is.
It is a good movie. Great soundtrack on that movie.
Yes, yeah,
It's a
70s thing.
Yeah, it is. Favorite musician?
Dave Matthews
you're up there with me on that
or
one.
Frank Sinatra.
Wow, two very not exactly the same, but
No,
yes.
yeah. Yeah.
The favorite concert?
Beach Boys.
Beach Boys.
Yeah.
Local. They played up here a lot. You see them around here?
Yeah, Cape Cod Coliseum.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. The Beach Boys. Okay. That's definitely the first Beach Boys answer we've had. We have not had the Beach Boys as the favorite show yet, but
Okay.
that's a good one. Favorite sport other than the ones you coached? Favorite sport to watch other than the ones you're involved in?
Baseball.
Baseball. Not
Yep.
too slow for you.
No, I like a good baseball game.
I do too. The high school kids that come in here now, all of them say it's too slow.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Even some of the baseball guys lose interest.
It's true. It's true. I mean, they can find ways to speed it up, I guess, but
I don't think you need to mess with it. You know what I think
I wouldn't mess with it.
You know what I think Major League Baseball has? And I took to Twitter here and said this a few times during the World Series and the playoffs. I think they have a start too late issue is what I
Yes.
think they have.
Yeah.
Those games at like 4:30 during the playoffs are great. You're getting like the final innings, the exciting innings in prime time. I don't understand why they can't make that work. I'm sure somebody has crunched the numbers and realized
Right.
it's a good business decision.
Well, it's TV money, I'm sure.
It is, but I don't know. Was that ever different for you guys when you had you guys had the benefit? Not every school has this. I think even some people in Newburyport take it for granted sometimes that you get the games, almost every game. I think every game still on radio, and a lot of the TV being brought back too, which I know a lot of communities do the local playback TV and stuff, but it's a little unique to have guys that go up there and call live radio, and your grandparents can sit in the living room and listen in, and it's a pretty cool thing.
Well, the stadium was a great venue for that, just with the height of the press box and the number of cameras they could set up at different angles, and the announcers are they're not freezing in the press box. And, that's it's good.
Did you like you only played that one game on the field? Did you? I'm sure you got a taste of it there, but did you miss the old field at all, or was this new one just?
Yeah, I think I just got wrapped up in the moment. It was a great new field. It was like driving a new car, and it was good that way. But I missed the old, the old field, the old surface. I mean, we used to take care of the surface, the coaches.
Yeah.
There was no money put into it. We put our own fundraising money into it, so we're out there in the summer planting seed and watering it. And over the years, we were the ones that kept the thing up. So
shoveling some days.
Many days. Yeah.
Many days.
Yeah.
All right, a couple more to finish. Favorite hobby?
Fishing.
Yeah. Traveling on the fishing front? Go around?
No,
I
go out to Plum Island and surf cast. We have a place up in York, Maine. I'll surf cast.
Okay. And surf cast is. I'm not a fisherman. What is this? This is
just stand on the beach and
surf cast. Okay.
Yeah.
That's your standard fishing.
Yeah.
No fly fishing.
No. We just fish for stripers and.
There you go.
Lures. Yeah. So it's good for the soul.
And no golf. Bob Clark is not going to get you into golf.
I don't know. I can see my clubs up in a tree at some point.
Don't have the temperament for it?
No, not at all.
All those years with high school kids, and you don't have the temperament for golf, Coach? Come on.
That's interesting. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know if you maybe you want to take a chance to maybe wish the kids good luck here as we approach Thanksgiving, or say thank you to some of the fans who supported you all those years. But it was good to have you on. Why don't you take the moment to say hello again to the Newburyport faithful here?
Well, I mean, I just like to say I miss you guys. It's Lily's sitting here, and it's her class is the last class that I had.
Yeah, she mentioned that.
So she's gone, and then I'll just be another old man who comes to the high school. But I think I would say get into Thanksgiving, have some fun. Family and football is a great combination, and it's been good to me over the years. So,
are you cooking? You doing the bird?
I like to cook. Well, I might come up to the game since it's home. So maybe I'll throw it in the oven and run and see what it looks like when I come back.
What do you guys do for the Thanksgiving tradition with the family? Do you?
Everyone's coming back. We just gather and eat and take a nap like everyone else, I guess. Yeah.
Watch some of the pro football later in the day.
Right. Yeah, the TV's always on.
Oh, I forgot. I always have to. I get in the habit of asking this around Thanksgiving. Favorite Thanksgiving meal? Dish. Favorite Thanksgiving.
Besides the turkey.
Besides the turkey, yeah, it has to be one of the sides. That's true. We got to specify that this year. It has to be one of the sides.
I'd have to go with sweet potatoes.
Okay, sweet potatoes.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, it's an exciting time of year, Coach. It was great to see you again. I really enjoyed it. Show flies by. It's always a good sign of these things. So,
good. No, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. It was good to see you again. Let's do it again sometime here. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. Thanks
Coach
a lot.
Ed Gaudiano of Newburyport legend in the classroom and on the sporting fields there. Football. What else do we do? Football, lacrosse.
Football and lacrosse.
Any other ones slip in along the years or?
No, just. No? World history, I guess.
World history with Lily, of course.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good to see you. We'll be back here in just a moment here. We'll wrap things up and come back with more Afternoon Drive in just a moment. I'm Drew Moholland. Keep it here. All right, welcome back to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. Big thanks to Coach Ed Gaudiano of Newburyport, a great guy. He's still making the rounds outside because he's got a bunch of our workers there in the studio outside here that are working behind the scenes here. Had Coach Gaudiano, including Lily Dissette, as a teacher or coach or something in some regards there at Newburyport. So you can tell when somebody's genuinely liked and they walk into this place, and it takes a while to say goodbye. So he's still out there doing that right now. Very nice to see Coach Ed Gaudiano here. It was fantastic. So let's see. We got Thursday, same time, same place. I'm not going to tell you the guests. We're kind of juggling a couple different things here, so I'm not going to quite give that away at the moment, mostly because I'm not 100% sure at the moment. So it'll be a surprise on that one. But you'll have to tune in Thursday to find out. So don't forget, follow us at Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. That's at Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. You can go to ncmhub.org as well. And, you go to the top right, you get the SoundCloud and you got the YouTube. You can watch the video. You can watch it in kind of, or you can listen to it in podcast form if you're driving, all that good stuff. So go find these recent shows. Tyler and Lily do a good job on getting them up there quickly. And you can see shows, the whole archive of shows here at Joppa Afternoon Drive. Again, my name is Drew Moholland. Folks, good start to the week. Nice Tuesday with Coach Ed Gaudiano, a great guy. We had some great conversations. I hope you enjoyed that. We covered a lot of ground. We'll see you Thursday, folks. Same time, same place. Bye-bye now.